I took time to attend the Memorial Day service at the Vietnam Vets Memorial this past May, and I was a little overwhelmed with how many emotions there were still left. My husband is a Vietnam vet, and I guess I will say that I was a Vietnam protester. We came at it from two very distinct ends of the spectrum, but in the end it was about living in a country we both loved and wanted to support. First time I ever heard about Vietnam, I was a high school student, and I took part in a debate about whether or not the U.S. should be engaged in the war. I say this because for me that was pretty significant. I was going to high school in an all-girls school in a convent setting, and reality was buffered for us. But as I did research on my debate point, I think it was the first time I considered that what I heard on the news, what I believed was our place, our U.S. place in history, maybe wasn't or shouldn't be as believed as we all had been raised to think. So I left that school and became a student at the College of St. Benedict, and again, somewhat a sheltered environment, but the war and its impact reached us. And one of my other most distinct memories is sitting on the street in downtown St. Cloud in front of a federal building. Might have been the day after, 2 days after the shooting at Kent State. And people were very upset. And the other thing I remember from that encounter was the fact that people of my own generation and even years younger than I were the National Guard people who surrounded those blocks where the protest took place that day. It was, the whole environment seemed like a study in contrast, just very unrealistic. And I guess the last comment I have is that not only were soldiers and people who associated themselves with the war snubbed when they came home, I think in some areas our whole generation has continued to be a little bit lost about where we fit in, because some of us did stand up and say, you can't continue to play games with people's lives for the sake of what we might now call nation building or making the world a safer place. I will never forget the term domino theory, because that's the one thing that was thrown at us as a reason for continuing the battle. If this country fell, that whole part of the world would be communistic. And so many of us believed that until some time when you came face to face with other reasons. One of our first dates was seeing Full Metal Jacket. And we spent hours after that movie, each learning different perspectives of what we had gone through in those times. And we continue to have discussions like that.